The lost city of Atlantis, history's greatest mystery for over 2,000 years. One mystery has refused to disappear. A story passed down through generations. A tale of unimaginable wealth, unmatched power, and a civilization so extraordinary that many believed it could never fall. Some call it a myth. Others believe it was one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever known. A kingdom said to possess magnificent temples, enormous harbors, golden palaces, and an empire that stretched across the sea. Then, according to one ancient account, everything vanished in a single day and a single night. The city, its people, its power, all swallowed by the ocean. No one knows where it was. No one has ever proved it existed. Yet thousands of years later, people are still searching. Historians, archaeologists, scientists, explorers, treasure hunters, all chasing the same mystery. Could Atlantis still be waiting beneath the waves? Or have we spent centuries searching for nothing more than a legend? Tonight, we open the History Vault. Imagine standing on the deck of an ancient ship. The sea is calm. The wind barely touches the sails. Then, without warning, the ocean begins to move. The ground shakes. The horizon disappears behind enormous waves. Within hours, an entire civilization is gone. If Atlantis really existed, this may have been the final thing its people ever saw. It is a terrifying thought. But before we can understand how Atlantis disappeared, we first need to discover where the story began. Atlantis at its height. Our journey begins, not beneath the ocean, but in ancient Greece, more than 2,000 years ago. A philosopher sat down to write a story that would become one of history's greatest mysteries. His name was Plato. Even today, he remains one of the most influential thinkers the world has ever known. But hidden inside two of his writings was something completely unexpected, a description of an island unlike any other, an island called Atlantis. According to Plato, Atlantis wasn't just another city. It was the jewel of the ancient world. Its temples glittered beneath the sun. Its streets were lined with magnificent buildings carved from white stone, gold-decorated walls, bronze-covered enormous gates. Everywhere you looked, there were fountains, gardens, marble statues, and breathtaking architecture. It was a city built to inspire awe, a place so beautiful, many believed it had been blessed by the gods themselves. At the center of Atlantis stood one of its greatest engineering achievements, the city itself. Plato described Atlantis as being built in enormous circles. 3 rings of water surrounded the central island. Bridges connected each section together. Ships could sail directly into the heart of the city. Even by today's standards, it sounds extraordinary. Some historians believe this design was symbolic. Others wonder whether Plato was describing something that truly existed. The waters surrounding Atlantis were never quiet. Merchant ships arrived from distant lands carrying gold, silver, ivory, exotic animals, and rare treasures. The docks were alive with activity. Markets overflowed with goods. The city grew richer every year. Trade brought prosperity. Prosperity brought power. And with power came ambition. But wealth alone wasn't enough. Atlantis possessed something even more valuable: military strength. Its navy became one of the most feared forces in the ancient world. Powerful fleets crossed the seas. Neighboring kingdoms fell beneath their influence. Empire after empire recognized the growing power of Atlantis. To the outside world, it appeared unstoppable. But history has taught us one important lesson: no civilization, no matter how wealthy, no matter how powerful, lasts forever. Every great empire eventually faces its greatest test, and for Atlantis, that moment was about to arrive. According to Plato, the people of Atlantis slowly changed. Success became arrogance, wealth became greed, power became corruption. The civilization that had once been admired began to lose its way. Plato believed the gods were watching, and eventually, their patience ran out. Then came the day. The sky darkened. The earth trembled beneath the city. The sea began to rise, and in a single day and a single night, everything changed. As the people of Atlantis celebrated their wealth, the skies above them began to change. The warm sunlight disappeared behind thick black clouds. The air became strangely still. Birds fell silent. The sea, once calm and peaceful, began to churn. No one knew what was about to happen, but according to Plato, the gods had reached their decision. Atlantis had become too proud, too powerful, too corrupt, and now its time had come. Without warning, the ground trembled. At first, only slightly. People looked around in confusion. Buildings creaked. Statues swayed. Then, the shaking became violent. The streets cracked open beneath people's feet. Columns that had stood for centuries crashed to the ground. Entire temples collapsed in clouds of dust. Panic spread through the city. Families fled their homes. Merchants abandoned their markets. The greatest civilization on earth was falling apart. Everywhere, people were running. Parents searched desperately for their children. Soldiers tried to restore order. Priests gathered in the temples, praying to gods who no longer seemed willing to listen. No one knew where to go. No one knew how to escape. The city that had once symbolized perfection had become a nightmare. Then, someone looked toward the sea. What they saw was almost impossible to believe. The ocean had begun to disappear. Ships rested on the exposed seabed. Fish flapped helplessly across the sand. For a few terrifying moments, everything became silent. Then, the horizon rose, an enormous wall of water, larger than anything the people of Atlantis had ever imagined, raced towards the city. The tsunami struck with unimaginable force. Ships were thrown through the streets, palaces collapsed, bridges shattered, entire districts disappeared beneath the water. People clung desperately to anything they could find, but the sea showed no mercy. Within moments, the city was flooding faster than anyone could escape. Plato wrote that, in a single day and a single night, Atlantis vanished. The sea swallowed everything: temples, palaces, markets, harbors, homes. An empire that had taken centuries to build disappeared forever, leaving behind nothing but silence. As the waters settled, darkness covered the city. Fish swam through magnificent halls. Coral slowly covered marble statues. Nature reclaimed what mankind had built. Century after century, the ocean buried Atlantis deeper beneath the seabed. If the city had ever existed, it had become almost impossible to find. For generations, the story survived, passed from one storyteller to another, copied into books, discussed by scholars, debated by philosophers. Some believed every word. Others dismissed it as nothing more than fiction. But the mystery refused to disappear. As centuries passed, explorers began asking a simple question. What if Plato was telling the truth? What if Atlantis really had existed? Ships crossed the Mediterranean. Divers searched ancient coastlines. Historians examined forgotten texts. Everyone hoped to uncover the same secret: the lost city. Even today, the search continues. with submarines, sonar technology, satellite mapping, and underwater archaeology. Every few years, a new discovery makes headlines. Some claim Atlantis has finally been found. Others quickly prove the evidence doesn't match Plato's description. Yet despite thousands of expeditions, no one has found proof that convinces the world, or perhaps the truth is still waiting, hidden beneath the waves. For more than 2,000 years, people have searched for Atlantis. Some believe the answer lies here, on the Greek island of Santorini, around 3,600 years ago. One of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history ripped the island apart. The explosion sent ash high into the sky. Entire settlements disappeared beneath volcanic rock. Enormous tsunamis swept across the Mediterranean. Many historians believe this disaster may have inspired Plato's story. The timing isn't perfect, but the similarities are difficult to ignore. A wealthy island civilization, destroyed by a natural catastrophe and lost to history. Could Santorini be the real Atlantis? Or is it simply another remarkable coincidence? Others believe Atlantis lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. Plato himself wrote that Atlantis existed beyond these waters. Some researchers have searched the coastlines of southern Spain, believing earthquakes and floods may have buried an ancient civilization beneath layers of mud and sediment. Ancient ruins have been discovered throughout the region, but none have provided the evidence needed to prove Atlantis once stood there. The mystery remains. Today's search looks very different. Instead of wooden ships and handwritten maps, scientists now use satellites, sonar, deep-sea robots, and underwater drones. The ocean floor has been mapped more accurately than ever before. Every year, new discoveries are made beneath the sea: ancient shipwrecks, lost cities, forgotten temples. Yet despite all of this technology, Atlantis continues to evade discovery. So, did Atlantis really exist? The honest answer is that nobody knows. Most historians believe Plato created Atlantis as a philosophical story, a warning about pride, greed, and the dangers of a civilization that believes it cannot fail. Others argue that every legend begins with a grain of truth. Perhaps Plato based his account on real disasters, real cities, and real memories that changed over generations. Without definitive archaeological evidence, the question remains open. Whether Atlantis was a real city or simply one of history's greatest stories, its legacy has survived for more than 2,000 years. Empires have risen, empires have fallen, yet the legend of Atlantis continues to inspire explorers, historians, writers, and dreamers around the world. Perhaps one day, a discovery beneath the sea will finally answer the question. Or perhaps, some mysteries are never meant to be solved. History has a way of hiding its greatest secrets, waiting patiently for someone willing to search. If you enjoyed uncovering the mystery of Atlantis, make sure you subscribe to History Vault, because next time, we're traveling to ancient Egypt to investigate one of the world's most famous legends, the Curse of Tutankhamun. Until then, remember, history never truly disappears. It simply waits to be discovered. Thanks for watching.